Good day, everyone. This is Mark Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools, presenting on the December 19th, 2011 school board meeting, which took place at Motley at 7 p.m. at the Media Center. Monday night's board meeting was short in agenda items, but long in time-wise, due to the fact that a number of the agenda items took a fair amount of time. The board opened the meeting, and immediately went into closed session to discuss preliminary allegations against an individual subject to the board's authority. Excuse me. I know that sounds fuzzy gray, but due to data privacy laws as well as a respect to the individual involved, that is the agenda item. The agenda item needed to be printed in that manner. That closed session took a little over an hour. From that meeting, the board reopened and reconvened the open meeting and approved the consent agenda, then moved to the financial items, and there were two lengthy items on the financial side of the board. One of them was the audit. The audit is an annual activity that the board needs to do, or the school district needs to do, where we hire a third independent party to come in and review the books. Once again, we are happy to report that the audit was reported as clean, meaning that I guess there were no findings that they shouldn't have found in there. But that takes time, and that an individual from the organization that comes in goes through the findings of that audit. John Moore then presented his financial report, and then Bob Hammond presented the Truth and Taxation's information. Truth and Taxation hearing is an annual required hearing that the school board must do before they certify their levy, which they did that evening. We are happy to report that the school district levy actually went down by 11%. Now, you may be hearing that, but you may have looked at your tax statements and said, well, hold on, my taxes went up, even as a school district. And one of the main reasons for that is something that the state legislature did at the last session. The state eliminated what was called the homestead tax credit. That was actually money from the state that went to cities, counties, school districts to help supplement residential dwellings that are under, it was $400,000, which is, around our area, the vast majority of our homestead valuation. That, as a state, was a difference of $260 million that the legislation cut. For our district alone, that was about $90,000. So in other words, in order for us to keep the same levy revenue, local taxpayers would have to make up $90,000. Luckily for our school district, as well as for our taxpayers, we are at a point this year where our levy is reduced by a substantial amount. And the reason that levy got reduced by a substantial amount is a result of really the last 2 years. 2 years ago, our bond payments for Centennial Auditorium fell off. When those bond payments were paid off, we then had a large number of health and safety items we needed to do. Now, health and safety, we have a levy that's called a health and safety levy, and for the most part, those are things that are ordered from the fire marshal that we need to do, or if not ordered by fire marshal, just things that we need to do to keep our schools safe. Over the years, we've been deferring a number of those large ticket items in anticipation of the bond falling off 2 years ago. Well, that bond fell off, so we greatly increased for 1 year. We did catch up, if you will, on health and safety items for our district. Well, now that those were completed, a big portion of that levy has fallen off. So that's why we see an 11% reduction in our levy is really that health and safety. In addition to that, when we passed when the voters approved the voter-approved levy in 2006, we actually no longer levy up to $108,000 a year for health and safety. And this is more for just annual things we need to be doing. Instead, we use the referendum dollars, and the reason why we do that is if we levy just from health and safety, 100% of those dollars come from local taxpayers, from property taxes. If we use dollars from the levy, we get state matching dollars. So since the levy has been approved, the voter-approved levy, we can forego $108,000 of the purely voter-approved levy. Now that, of course, will likely go away if our voter-approved levy is not renewed in a couple of years. We've done that with not only the health and safety levy, but other levies as well, to lessen the tax impact on our local taxpayers and tap into state dollars for that. Hope that relatively makes sense, and within our tax shift and what we're doing for our schools and for our taxpayers. It's not a simple subject, and a difficult one to try and explain to people. Next, the board moved to the curriculum. Curriculum item was a addendum to the high school handbook, and the high school handbook addendum addressed social media, and social media is an issue that our students are struggling with, and actually in all reality a number of adults, in really finding the appropriateness and understanding the appropriateness of social media, electronic communications, and typically in a lot of this is Facebook, texting, those type of things. And in all honesty, we're in a different. Our kids are growing up in a different age than any of us adults have, and I see us as a society really beginning to come to terms as far as what are those appropriate guidelines for various social media applications. But to help provide everyone some guidance, an addendum to the student handbook was approved by the school board that night, on Monday night. Next was a personnel item, and the personnel item involved some custodial changes, and the custodial changes are a result of Cheryl Luke resigning. Cheryl was both at Staples Elementary and the high school. Dave Auden, who's been part-time working at the freshwater building, will be provided 2 more hours a day to work, and that will be at Staples Elementary. And then Travis Benson will be working an additional hour at the high school. I believe there's another couple hours that Jim Christopherson is trying to fill, and I believe he's posting for that and looking for someone on a part-time basis. One of the values of doing part-time is that then it builds kind of a built-in sub when someone calls in sick. But those were the only personnel items. The reports presented by various individuals were submitted in written form. That was a request from the board chair. Given the length of agenda items, the board chair requests that all reports were submitted in written form. And the one thing I will comment on the reports is an update on our family center. The family center in Motley, which is a direct result of our community planning session last year, which was feedback that people would like to utilize and see an all-day, everyday preschool. We're doing in our initial endeavor in that over at the Motley site, and we are renovating the old shop area to provide both classrooms and a large motor area, basically an indoor playground for children, to both better prepare children when they come to kindergarten and to draw more families into our school district and our communities. But we're working out with the architect to finalize those plans. We're hoping to be able to come to the board in January for the board to approve the seeking of bids for those plans and begin working on the physical renovation of that this spring. On the program side, we've been working closely with Tri-County Collaborative on developing a partnership with our ECSC programs, our Head Start programs, our school readiness programs, and then daycare component. And at this point, we are looking at providing something from age 16 month to preschool. Though in these conversations, it's been made aware to us that infants is an issue. However, we haven't begun to delve into the reality of that or not just in that that's a very labor-intensive endeavor. But there appears to be a need out there. But that's a new development. But we're moving forward on that and continuing to have the opening date on the fall of 2012. At this point, we have 13 people that have called to either inquire or potentially sign up their children for the Family Center. With that completes my update. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a safe and joyous New Year. Take care and have a wonderful week.